Marilyn Gewacke is an incredible channel. She comes from the clinical psychology world. She was a clinical psychologist, had this spiritual awakening, and this being, Zazar, I forgot which dimension he's from. I get my dimensions mixed up. But Marilyn, there's Zazar, or a kind of likeness of Zazar. He's Marilyn will tell us what dimension and planet he's from. But what really convinced me of Zazar's authenticity was I did a interview with Marilyn, and Zazar came through and he talked all about magnificence, my magnificence, all of our magnificence, in a way that I never understood before. I never realized that I'm magnificent. I don't think it's ego to say it. And all of us are magnificent beings, magnificent in the full capacity of that word. And I've had to look at that interview a couple of times just to realize, what was he talking about? Where can I find that in myself? And so loving, so caring, like Marilyn. But Zazar just felt like cradled me in these dimensional arms and gave me a piece of myself I wasn't looking at before. And that's why I'm so happy you're here, Marilyn. Thank you. What do you think so far of our program here?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think it's fantastic. And it tells me the truth of how much Zazar has taught me about the humans on this planet and their heart and the light they're capable of carrying. And this show tonight is such an amazing example of that hope, of that truth, of that magnificence. All of you on this show tonight is just such proof of who we really are on this earth and who we are becoming.
That's great. Scott, isn't that a good confirmation of your magnificence?
Well, thank you. And I love that message that we actually all are magnificent. You know, most of the world's great religions broke us down, and, you know, we're very shame-based. And again, one of the commonalities of the great spiritual teachers that we hear is really learning true self-love. And true self-love isn't about ego. It's not about selfishness. It's about remembering our great divinity and who we truly are. So that's a beautiful opening message. And I look forward to hearing more from you, Marilyn.
Well, here's the funny thing, that Zazar is here purposely to shed light on the truth of who we are and all the diminishment programs that we've had on Earth, to release them. And he often teases and says, you know, when I go back to my brethren, my light brethren, after being here and being channeled through you, they say, you have a great job to help humans, these incredible beings, learn their magnificence. And he said, you know, it's not quite as easy as you might think, because there is such resistance for humans to realize the truth of their lighted way. And Zazar has taught me that. And being a psychologist my whole life, and then Zazar came out, it was really in the first year I realized that he was truly this being from the sixth dimension who is coming through me, comes entirely in my body. My vocal cords, it changes. He is within me, and he touches my magnificence, which makes me able to channel. Once I got it in my mind that this wasn't my wisdom, and the question was, would I be big enough to channel him? But you know, once you really get the truth of channeling, so many other truths come in line, because here was this being from the sixth dimension, which means there are other dimensions, there are other realities, there is the divine source intelligence. I do have this magnificent soul. Humans have this. We lead with our hearts, and that's the best part of us. And so I began to have all those doubts that I had all my life about reincarnation and my own existence of soul and the remembrance of what I came into this life to do. And those questions, those doubts that haunt so many humans, is there God? Are there other dimensions? Are we really on an ascension path? After the first year of channeling Zazar, all those questions were put to rest. And I get to live in that knowing of the truth that the world beyond us is so amazing. And Zazar's here to help us see into that world. But really, the world we see into is the world within.
Well, Marilyn, what was that moment for you, coming from psychology, where you had that awakening, like, oh my God, there's something more? Can you talk about that?
Well, I knew when I wrote my first book that I received downloads of information that for 20 seconds would take me a couple of days to decipher. So I knew I was getting downloads of information. But when Zazar first came in, the feeling was both ecstasy and complete confusion all at once, which is kind of like the human journey. But I knew in that moment when he came through, the energy was so sublime that it was not mine. It wasn't my higher self. It was definitely a being that came through. I could feel him, my body, mind, and heart all integrated around that. And then it took me a while to get used to, as Jessica said, the tremendous amounts of energy that come in. And at one point I said to Zazar, when you come in now, could you bring some vitamin packets from above so that, I can maintain this intense energy? But what's so wonderful is the more work that I do on myself, the larger my channel becomes. If that's not motivation to clear out my own debris, but really what's important is to be one of those humans that can be the light, that can be the lighted way that each of us are capable of being. And I don't know when you would like this, but Zazar has a beautiful message that he'd like to give you.
Marilyn and Zazar, when we were out in Sedona, when we did the CE5, it was about 75 people there. And it was the best viewing of these star beings I ever saw. Marilyn had these night vision glasses, and she said, I see a triangle up there. I said, let me see, Marilyn. As I was looking through these night vision, this triangle went from its point up to its point down. And I said, oh my God, there really are UFOs out there. I mean, I wrote the book on it, but just seeing it, it's like, and that was an incredible moment.
Listen, when Zazar is present, we always have sightings. We've had crafts over our house, 500 feet above our house. I mean, we've seen fully manifested extraterrestrials walking around the sanctuary. Zazar has the ability to bring in and open these portals for higher dimensional beings. So it's quite the exciting life when he directs.